Hello. On day 8, I've been emotional this morning. It's sometimes really difficult for me to trace it. I'm taking my shoes off. That's why, where does the churning start? It kind of takes a lot for me to get emotional to the point where I'm crying. I sometimes have a really difficult time crying. And I guess I'll just share, like this morning, I don't remember exactly how it happened. I woke up earlier than I wanted to. I opened up on my phone this book that I've been reading called The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd. And the point that I'm at in this self-guided journey that he has kind of curated for us to discover ourselves based on our personal profile and which genes are active in our charts. The point that I'm at is to consider the 22nd gene key. And it's not in my chart, but it's one of these that's really important to humanity as a whole. And I've been feeling really deep gratitude since I started reading this gene key yesterday, and I read some last night, and then this morning I was reading it some, and then for some reason it caused me to, my mind, the monkey mind, it'll hop off, and so then I'll go on my phone, the internet at your fingertips, and open the browser and start researching something else. Well, I got into my astrological chart, and I was looking at the fact that I have Mars and Saturn in the 12th house, in my unconscious house, where I'm my own worst enemy. And it was really describing to me the sense of restriction, the sense of repressed, anger or masculine expression or just emotion, that it just gets trapped inside of me and it cycles around, and it's really difficult for me to express it. And anyway, what I did get from that in a positive was that I'm going to be installing a dance pole here in my temple. I have one at home, but when I drive away from home to come to this place to wait to see if anyone wants to work with me, which lately has been, a lot of silence and a lot of no. I don't have my pole here. And so I was feeling frustrated and thinking that I needed to let go of this place. And now I've signed another 6 months lease, so I'm just going to make the best of it. But I'm putting a pole in here because I know that if I can move, if I can be in movement, if I can dance and move to music and be working on something creative in the time that I'm waiting to see if the world wants to, take advantage of the gifts that I have, I know that that will be good for me. And, Mars and Virgo in the 12th house, actually, I'm not sure if Virgo had a lot to do with it, but Mars in the 12th house, they said it's really important for us to have artistic expression, and that physical activity helps us to move some of that churning. Because there will be times when I'm just churning, and I'm like in my life and I'm going, I don't know what to do with all of this energy that's inside of me that feels deep and it feels meaningful, but I don't know what it is. I can't put a name to it. I don't know what this grief or this anxiety or this frustration or this restlessness. And they really describe the restlessness of Mars in the 12th house, and that's a feeling that I'm very, very, very familiar with. So that's a positive to it. But I guess I've been grieving this morning a little bit more of the fact that for some reason in this life, I'm really meant to experience a lot of aloneness and loneliness. And it's been something that I remember since being a little girl. I can remember, being in preschool. I can remember even being at like babysitters when, someone had a home where they opened it to childcare. And I always felt like I couldn't actually plug in to like the groups of people that I would see kind of forming in these cliques and these friendships, and it was like happening around me. And it was almost like as I would approach it, the energy would disperse and people would go, and I'm just find myself standing there alone again. And I'm like, what is this? And as a child or as a young girl, I remember every school year that started, I would kind of like convince myself and pep talk myself into thinking that this year I could make it different. Somehow I'd find the way to plug in. I'd have friends. I'd be included. And over and over again, and even up to this point in my life where I'm 36 years old, next month I'll be 36, it's the same. And Saturn in the 12th house you know? It's a feeling of separateness, a feeling of loneliness, a feeling of, I mean, there were a lot of things that they described there, and it was all just reflecting back to me this truth that it's kind of the way that I'm built. It's kind of the way that I'm designed. And it's kind of a truth that I have to accept. So like this part of me that loves community and festivals and family, the feeling of family, the feeling of togetherness. It's like really deep in me. And even like in my human design and my gene keys profile, it's like the four, the opportunist, the one that thrives on friendship and people that they know and closeness. It's strong in me. It's like, I need that. I need to have people around me that I know and trust on deep levels. And ever since I was a little girl, even in my nuclear family, I haven't known how to create that. I haven't had that available to me. So the aloneness and the loneliness that I've experienced in this life, they've been profound. Sometimes all-encompassing, and there's been a lot of shame that I've felt because it's like I've thought there was something wrong with me. To watch people just seem to be able to have relationships and connection and belonging, and to feel like I want this more than anything, but I don't know how to create it for myself. It's been really very challenging. And I guess what I'm recognizing is that there's still more work that I need to do, and just somehow accepting that that's a truth for me. And I have done a lot in this regard. You know, when I moved from San Diego to the Santa Cruz Mountains to live with Charles, at first I was trying to hang on to threads with people in San Diego who were really just acquaintances, but I hoped that somehow I could turn them into friendships. You know, ultimately I had to let them go. And even my desire to kind of find community in the area around here. I was driving 45 minutes to Santa Cruz to go to a Burning Man meetup, and like getting there, and again, I can't plug in. I don't know how to connect. Or driving to the city to meet up with old friends from like past Burning Man groups or whatever, and getting there and being like, this is not giving me what I need. And so finally I just stopped. I stopped being on Facebook so much. You know, I check in with Facebook maybe once a week, every other week now. I hardly ever post unless it's about me and Charles, because I know that really means a lot to him when I post about us and how we're doing, because we're doing really well. And, you know, I stopped chasing after community. And the irony is that it's like inching towards me in the form of this community that Charles has created, you know, but they converge around our home for a few days or several days, and then they all disperse again across the country, across the world. And so in between all of the seminars, I sink into this aloneness again. And then when Charles travels, it's just like, oh my God, that confrontation can be really challenging sometimes. So, it's interesting because now I'm remembering that this morning, one of the things that I read or last night in the 22nd Gene Key is that, you know, really the Akashic record is recording all of our thoughts, all of our intentions, all of our emotions. And there's a little slice of humanity that we are here to totally, completely accept and to totally be with. And that's, you know, what we've been programmed for. And unless we can totally accept and trust the feelings, trust the grief, trust the sadness, trust the loneliness, that we're just going to keep getting sent the same lessons, the same energy, the same everything over and over again. And it's like I've heard this so many times, but for some reason, the way that it was described to me in this particular teaching, it's come really clear. And maybe that's what inspired me to go look into some of the heaviest aspects of my chart. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I was kind of half asleep when I started this meandering. But, so, you know, to kind of start wrapping up this video, I want to take responsibility for my thoughts and my actions and my emotions and my life and my humanity. And simultaneously, while I say that, I feel excitement and hope, and I feel this beautiful surrender, like, oh my God, I don't have to be anything for anyone else or for this world even. I just have to be what nature and life intended me to be, like the tree outside. And then this fear, can I do it? What if the reality that I'm being asked to face is just something that I really can't bear? You know, being so alone. Like, how is it that I so feel Burning Man and the festival scene in the core of me, in my bones, in my marrow? You know, one of these days I'll follow some of the prompts in the 100-day reality challenge workbook and, you know, share some of the visions that I sometimes have, but they feel like they're too far-fetched, and maybe they're too out of alignment with who I'm actually supposed to be, which I don't know who that is yet. Anyway, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my husband and his patience. He's so patient with me, especially when I kind of sink down and I get really down on myself, and I don't want to let anyone pull me out of it. And he stays really patient. I am grateful for my husband's success in his business, because he's been able to support me these last handful of months that my business has been really struggling. I've been struggling to find myself, and again, that's something else I want to talk more about at another time. I'm grateful for the changes in my temple space, just being here today after the furniture move around that I did yesterday. It's like a new, fresh feeling here, and I like it. I don't know what is coming next really, but I really like it. So, and what else do I want to really bring to presence that I'm grateful for? I'm grateful for Amma coming and inspiring me to book a hotel room for Devi Bhava. I think it'll be a special experience, a special night without expectations. And I'm grateful for hair extensions. Okay, thanks.